Where do you stand? Do you think he's unlucky to miss out?
You can say he's unlucky. Manchester United didn't start the season well, so you could see where that part of it goes. But of late, he's been better. For me, I think Gareth Southgate knows what Jadon Sancho could do, but what he needs him to do is be more consistent. So he's had a spell of consistency now. Obviously, after the international break, he's going to have to still be consistent, score goals, affect games for Manchester United, and then Gareth Southgate could take him seriously.
Yeah. Would you say, Kevin? I mean, I was saying earlier that out wide, I feel like he's become a little bit predictable, where he runs at the fullback, turns, lays it back to his fullback, and then they'll feed the ball in. But he's not really going to the byline and beating people. Yet in the central position, he looks far more effective.
Yeah, look, I've known Jadon for a long time. His ability and talent is unquestioned. I think that where he's effective is what matters in teams. That's the difference. And playing for Manchester United, and where teams double up on him, I think being wide isn't conducive to his skill set a lot of the time. He comes inside. I think he's a smooth operator, and he could drop his shoulder. He could play people in. And we've seen him, he's got great feet. He can score goals from the centre.
That was evident last night, wasn't it? For his goal, he took it brilliantly. Great touch, cuts inside and buries it.
Exactly. Yeah. So the key to anything is playing a player where he feels more comfortable. And at Manchester United right now, he's doing that. He's found a niche, what works for him. He's just got to be consistent. If he does that consistently, he'll be fine.
Yeah.
Well, Gareth Southgate, like Faye Crothers was telling us earlier on, didn't do a traditional press conference. Instead, decided to just sort of release a statement where he sort of cleared up some of the issues as to the decisions that he had made. And this was all down to the respect that they didn't think it was right to do a press conference following the news of Queen Elizabeth II's passing. But with regards to Marcus Rashford, and I suppose others, and Jadon Sancho you can bring into this, he's saying they've shown encouraging signs recently, and they just expect them to continue that performance at a high level, and then they will be under consideration. So by all means, this squad is not definitive. It has to be trimmed down anyway, and it's not a definitive that these are the players that are only in consideration for the World Cup, because there are still a number of players that missed out. Ben White is a player that a lot of people I saw yesterday talking about, and how it was unlucky for him to also not be considered. Do you think he should have been involved? Has he shown enough?
I think he has. I think he's played out of position for Arsenal this season, and he's been outstanding at right back. You know what he can do at centre back and right back now. And when you're top of the league and you're doing well, and you don't get in the England team or England squad, then you're going to question. We know. Here's one thing I do know: there's players there who are not playing for their clubs. I'm sure we're going to cover that, who obviously have got in because they've had tournament football under the manager.
Yeah, they've got the history there.
They've got the history, but
a sense of loyalty as well from the manager.
100%. But if they're not playing for their club, and you know what they can do, why are you picking? Why not give the opportunity to somebody who you can have a look at finally? Get them some game time.
On that, Kevin, is there a problem that the right back area is pretty filled? If you think of Walker, then you think of Reece James. You could probably put Trent in there as well. There was a lot of candidates for the right back area for England. Maybe that's because he's played right back for
Arsenal this season.
And not much at centre back.
Yeah, but Cass, look, what you need is versatile players, and we've seen Kyle Walker, who's a right back. We've seen him dovetail into a third centre back, haven't we? To utilise his speed. We know Reece James at Chelsea can do it as well. So maybe Gareth Southgate's already comfortable with those two, knowing they can do it. Alexander Trent-Arnold at right back maybe could do it as well. So I think he's probably covered in that position. Not good for Ben White, but in the manager's head, he's probably thinking, I've got enough cover in that position of versatility.
But I think you've made a point there about he knows a lot of these players already because he's worked with so many of them, that yes, he's brought in Ivan Toney really is the newest face in that squad. There have been some recalls. I know Eric Dyer has not played for England for some time, but again, still Gareth Southgate will know of Eric Dyer. He won't know of Ivan Toney, and we were talking about this yesterday, and I felt Ivan Toney and perhaps other players as well probably should have been called up in the last England squad during those Nations League matches, when then you really get a view of, because it was 4 matches that he had to look at those players. Plus then if he thought, Ivan Toney's doing a job for me, then you could call him back for this squad. In the sense of Ivan Toney, he's got 2 games, 1 international break to try and convince Gareth Southgate I'm worthy of being on that plane to Qatar. I know obviously club form comes into it as well, but a lot of pressure. I know he can handle it. I've seen him week in, week out for Brentford, but it's still a different kind of pressure that he's got to deal with.
100% it's different, but I think it's the right call. It's the right call to call Ivan Toney up, as far as I'm concerned. He's proven that he is a difference maker for Brentford. He's a difference maker at the top end of the pitch in the Premier League, and someone who not only affects the goals, but defensively, he's a force as well in the air and assists. I think that is really key. And I've got to say, if you're going to call him up, I want to see him play with Harry Kane.
You do as well.
Those 2 up top.
What you don't want to happen as well, which is like you alluded to, Nat, when you've been, there's 4 games previously and he hasn't been called in. Then there's 1 game and it's just a token gesture. He's in the squad. Yeah. And then he disappears.
What can you really garner from that?
That's why I hope it's not. Because maybe I've heard Gareth was interested in Ivan Toney towards the end of last season, was thinking about him, and it's obviously the way he got his hat-trick the week before, now he started the season, has made a big impact to him now being called into that squad.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Alan Brazil. Thursday and Friday morning, 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.